And that was also a process of seeing what doesn't work. And working with other startups, and basically my role was to work with early stage founders, and typically, they had a napkin sketch idea and said, this is something we want to build. And my agency came in and helped define the story, the brand identity, the visuals, down to the first sort of iteration of the product. And most often you sort of dive head in and start building the product. And then after that, the company says, well, we also need to create a brand identity. We need to create brand communication. And initially, I was just following the step-by-step of, okay, here's a visual identity, here's a logo type, and so on. But then realized that after the product was launched or the company was launched, there was a lot of focus on just selling the service or product. And it lost half of the meaning because it was primarily driven by profit. And then after working with 20, 30 startups, I started thinking, well, there's something that doesn't work here. So a lot of companies want this thing that they call brand. What does that even mean? Brand seems to be some sort of this magical unicorn that is intangible. It's hard to grasp. But yet we all hear the meaning of a brand and the value of a brand. Nike, Coca-Cola. It's there's billions have been invested into instilling some sort of purpose into it. So that kind of gave me a realization. Well, is there another way to create a product or a service or a company, and not start with the product, but start with the why, which is, what is your purpose? What is your mission? And work your way backwards. And many times companies, they build a product and then they say, well, can you tell me what my company should stand for? And it's almost like, you go to someone and say, can you help me tell me what I should stand for? So if you're starting a company, you should have very clear ideas of what is your mission? What are your values? What do you stand for? And kind of looking at the space of tech, I felt there's a lot of work to be done here in terms of changing priorities of why we start companies to begin with. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, it was sort of a fusion between my personal passion, which was machines and design. And I was building vintage bikes at a shop out in Brooklyn. So I felt, okay, here's a thing that I don't seem to get bored of. Can I combine that with a greater sense of purpose and impact? And looking at the mobility space, transportation is the biggest fossil fuel emitters. So, okay, why not address that as a challenge? And at the same time, do something that is at a big scale, but sort of honor the passion behind it. And the first thing I did is I essentially identify what do we stand for? What would Tarform have as foundational values? And that became sort of the platform. And it was really important to not compromise the integrity of that, because it's so easy to write down 3 words on a keynote and like, oh, they sound pretty, but what does that actually mean? And the greatest challenge I've realized is to actually staying true to those values and honoring them throughout the whole process.